Good afternoon, it's Monday 8th of February 2016, approximately 3:30 in the afternoon. And here in merry old Worksop, England, it's cold, it's wet, it's dull. I mean, I've had to put the lights on because it's that dull. So yes, it's not a very nice day. I was going to nip down to the shop and I thought I'll have a look in the fridge and the freezer and the cupboards so I don't have to realise I don't have to go down to the shop. Cheers. One of the last videos I did were full of cold. Got rid of it. Did about 2 weeks ago, got rid of it. It took me a week to get over there. I had to take a week off work. On the Wednesday, like I said, I didn't feel all that bad. Sneezing and sniffling, but I didn't feel all that bad. Got up Thursday, I started with a chesty cough. I was bringing up phlegm and sputum, and I wasn't sick, but you know, the real green, thick, horrible, yuck. My mouth tasted horrible, and it was literally Sunday before I had anything proper to eat. When I did eat, I was starving. So yeah, I ended up, the following weekend, I had still a bit of a chesty cough, but it all disappeared. So, back to normal. Right, what's today's subject? Today's subject is a suggested one. What it is on Facebook, I'm a member of a group called Most Haunted Fan Page. Alright, got an itch. Got a flea, catch that flea. Better not have any fleas. I've had nobody here with fleas. No animals here with fleas. Anyway, member of this group called Most Haunted Fan Page. Most Haunted is a TV programme in England and it's about paranormal investigations. To use an analogy for my American friends, it's like the Ghost Hunters International, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. You know, this group of TV people go to a haunted place and basically film what goes off. As part of this group, I put up the video that I did last Halloween about ghosts and the paranormal. Got a few likes on it, and one lady made some comments, and so I thought I'd address them. When I say critical, I don't mean bad critical, but she thought I was a bit too less forthcoming in some of the important information. Now let's start for the first thing. I am just a simple factory worker who goes to work 9 while 5. Then comes home, has a drink, goes to bed and enjoys life. I am not a medium, I'm not a sensitive. Right, difference between medium and sensitive. As I gather, and I'm not an expert, like I said in the other video, this is only what I understand in my beliefs, but a medium can sort of communicate with spirits and ghosts. I know she's not going to like that, but I'll come on to that in a bit. But the hauntings, the entities there. While the sensitive goes in and they feel them, but they can't really communicate. It's that odd feeling. And we've all had it at some time. You go into a place and think, I don't particularly like this place. Don't know what about it. I feel uncomfortable. Or, oh, this feels nice. You know, that sort of feeling. It's more feelings. So we'll get back into it. One of the things she mentioned is that I didn't really mention how dangerous the paranormal can be. And on these ghost hunts. So I decided to look at my video, and straight away what collared me is that I did actually mention when the word scrolled up, it does actually say, when it talks about the veils between the living and the dead and ghost hunts and these areas become more active, I did actually write down where people have been injured spiritually, mentally and physically. So I do actually say, right within the first couple of seconds, people have been injured. Injured mentally. People come away, feel drained, down. In worst case scenarios, there's been people in haunted places, and I forget where it is. There's a haunted house in England that's one of the rooms, a woman had been locked up and abused or raped or something like that, and when she produced a child, the child had been thrown in the fire and something like that. And women have described when they go in there, they feel oppressed, down. And some of us said, a couple of days afterwards, they still feel them feelings. So that's what I mean by spiritually. Sometimes you just feel down, you just feel drained, you feel like you can't concentrate, you feel what we describe as being off. That sort of feeling. There's been a couple of cases where people have been not basically insane, but have walked away and they're being basically for the rest of their life looking over the shoulder, is that a shadow in the corner and stuff like that. So it's more played on the minds. Spiritually, I'm going to talk a bit about my Christianity in a bit, but spiritually, what I mean by this is two things. First off, let's take the skeptic, the agnostic, people going out for a laugh. And then something happens and it turns the beliefs on head. So in other words, they've gone to these haunted places, let's go for a laugh. There's no such thing as ghosts. Something happens and it's a case of, well, hang on a minute here. This shouldn't be happening because this shouldn't be real, type of thing. So the belief structure's been totally changed around. And it's a case that some of them then turn around and say, well, if this is real, is that real? Is that real? Is there God? Is there Allah? Joke. So they can become quite spiritual, through it. Also, people of religious faith, believe that when you die, you either go to heaven or you go to hell, And then all of a sudden, there's these spirits in front of them, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, this isn't how we're told happens. So what's going on here, type of thing. So that's what I mean by spiritually. Basically, belief structure. Physically, obviously physically. There's been people being scratched. People being pushed. There's been people that have passed out. There's people that have complained about feeling strangled, and when they've looked, there's been like finger marks around the necks or even rope marks around the necks. People feel like they've been burnt. And sometimes they've touched hands and the hands feel hot like they've been burnt. In researching this before this video, I found out there's actually been a death. I can only find one death. And the official recorded thing is heart attack. Now, heart attack. Did he have a heart attack because he was so frightened he had a heart attack? Did something attack him and he had a heart attack? Or was it just, I'm afraid it's time to go? In which case he just had a heart attack. Don't know. The official recorded verdict is he had a heart attack. It's just that it happened on a supposedly ghost hunt. But that's the only death I can find. People have been pushed. People have been pushed over. Like I says, fainted, injured, etc. I I do talk about the second haunting where I went to, where I talked that we felt it could be dangerous. If the energy went up a bit further, we felt that we could be harmed. So, I'm telling you from personal experience. In that video, that's just how I felt. Going on to the other subjects, I talk about vampires, where they found the bodies with the heads chopped off and bricks in the mouth and stuff like that because they're frightened of the vampires getting up and biting them. Rabies, mummy's curse, about how now when they go into a tomb, a new tomb that they find, they wear masks or breathing apparatus because of spores. So, it's not actually spirits and ghosts, it's more the mythological, well, I say mythological, but are they mythological creatures? Don't know, but how people have died from that. Come on to like the fairies. I did talk about how they used to lure people away and steal the souls. How when Christianity came, they called these fairies, not fairies, but demons. And then, of course, gone on to the Great Irish Ghost, where I basically pointed out quite plainly this ghost would give a great wail. The first person who heard it would drop dead. So to turn around and say I didn't actually say, the paranormal is all nice in seeds and nobody gets hurt. I'm sorry, but I think that's wrong. I did actually say, like I said at the beginning, I did say where people have been injured spiritually, mentally and physically when going on these ghost hunts. So that's that. Right. Next thing was the stone tape effect. I was talking about how the fabric of the building records it. And one of the theories is bricks can be took away, hunters move it. Now, I did actually say theory. And when I was talking about when the bricks were turned away, I went theory. Now, I know my audience are not dumbos. They're not thickos. And I think they sort of gather when I say theory, I mean theory. It's like you can say the theory of alien abduction, the theory of the JFK assassination conspiracy, the theory of the Illuminati, the theory of the New World Order. It's a theory. This theory was first proposed in the 19th century by Sir William Barrett, who was the founder of the Society of Psychical Research. It came prominence, and this is the bloke I know that I read from, by Thomas Charles Lethbridge in 1961. And I've heard his name mentioned a few times when it refers to the stone tape effect. So I went online and looked, and there's a couple of psychical research areas that do say, well, yeah, we don't know how the mechanism works, but this is the theory behind it. One now says it isn't the building, it shouldn't be called the stone tape effect, it should be called the water tape effect. Some web pages say it's a load of rubbish. Other papers say it's a theory. And since I was doing one about Halloween and ghosts, it's the theory I've heard, so I decided to put it forward. I will turn around now and say it's a theory. I said, as I said in the beginning, this is my beliefs and my things. My theory is it's possible. And I did say that at the beginning of the tape. These are my beliefs and my thoughts. And I believe it's possible. Because in the end, we don't know what energy is involved. We call it spiritual energy. But what's that? Is it kilohertz? Is it amps? Is it temperature? Is it, I forget what the terminology is for light. We don't know the energy. We know some spirits give off EMF, but electromagnetic frequencies, but we don't know physically. What's that? Oh, by the way, that Thomas Charles Lethbridge is what's called a parapsychologist. Parapsychologists are basically scientists that try to look, measure, and find some scientific evidence for paranormal activity. Simplest way to put it, I know there's a more technical term, go on the internet, put parapsychologists in, it'll give more technical, but basically the scientists. So I hope that's cleared that point up. Right, I do talk about my faith. And I mean, I don't know if she's a Christian. To be honest, I'm not particularly bothered. It's my faith. I gave some quotes from the Bibles that gave sort of evidence that probably ghosts are in the Bible. I hope she's doesn't have a problem with that, because in the end it's down to faith. It's down to your own personal beliefs. What she believes is her belief. What I know what Joe believes same as me, but what the other viewers believe, some will be agnostic, some may be Muslim, some may be Hindu, some may be Jewish, in the end, whatever you believe, you believe. I'm Christian, I'm telling you, the Bible says this, that shows evidence in the Bible, there's possible ghost activities, so therefore as a Christian, it's quite alright for me to believe in ghosts. And if it offends anybody, I'm sorry, but it'll offend you. But that's it. Next thing, which was the big thing. Now, I make these videos for the general public. I do not make them for a paranormal society. I do not make them for a scientific society. I make them for general public. So therefore, sometimes I use general terms. And I must admit, one of the big discussions we got into was ghosts and spirits. She weren't happy that I didn't make a distinction. I will tell you now, 99% of the population, as far as they're concerned, ghosts are spirits and spirits are ghosts. There's no differentiation between them. When it comes to the paranormal world, in paranormal investigation, there is actually a distinction. Remember how I talked about residual hauntings, which are basically like a DVD recording, and active hauntings. There's another word for active, which I'll come on to, which I didn't tell at the time, because I was trying to make it a fun video and simplify the language. In residual hauntings, they are called ghosts. They are recordings. No interaction, stuff like that. In active hauntings, which are also called intelligent hauntings because you can have intelligent communication. They are called spirits. So ghosts are the recording, spirits are the active. I don't believe that 99% of my viewers would give a slight care in that distinction. I don't believe 99% of the UK would care about that distinction. But she thought it was important, so I thought I'd tell you. Ghosts are residual ghosts, but when it comes to communicating and that interaction and that intelligent haunting, they are called spirits. In spirits, you have the subsection which is called the poltergeist. Poltergeist stands for noisy ghost. So that's it. Just going to take a pause, collect my thoughts a sec, collected my thoughts. I'm just want to have a quick look at the video so far. So yeah, that's where the situation is at the moment. Got myself another drink. So that is where the situation is at the moment. So those are the 3 points you brought up. First off, I didn't mention the dangers of it, which I think I've covered quite well. Yeah, I didn't stand there wagging my finger and saying this is very dangerous and stuff like that, because I was trying to make it a bit of a fun video. But I did put warnings in. Beginning, when we were talking about my experiences with the vampires, blah blah blah, rabies, spores, with the banshee. Like I says, when talking about stone tape effect, I did say theory. I did say it twice when talking about both theories, and I've given you the information about that. And of course, my faith. Like I said, I don't know if she had a problem with that. Frankly, not particularly bothered. Because, like I says, when it comes to faith, what you believe in, it's what you believe in. I think it's important to talk about a ghost hunt. For anybody that's going on it, what you can expect. Again, these are my experiences. So, you go to an event, and the events I've been to, they usually do sort of a lit walk round before lights are switched off, and then you go on the ghost hunt, you go on vigils, what they call vigils, where probably a party of you go to one area of the building, see if anything happens. Sometimes you have a part of the staff there, sometimes you don't, depending how big a party it is. But even on the lit walk round, sometimes you start getting activity, be it taps or noises, or you may think you hear a door open or something like that. But when darkness happens, that's when activity can start. Again, they're not sure why, but ghosts seem to be more active when it's dark. And to be honest, that's from my experience as well. Yeah, you may hear a couple of taps, but when you switch the lights out, it gets more active. It can be frightening. I'll be honest now, it can be frightening. It can be very frightening. And this is part again, I mean, I did say in this video, we were scared. We were scared. At the second haunting, we were scared. I says we thought, if the energy level, I mean, in all these things, they talk about energy level. If the energy level built up any further, we felt we could have been in danger. So again, like I says, they are fun, but there's a sense of danger there. But then again, some of the stuff that is fun, I mean, it's like going on a roller coaster ride. Even though you know they're safe, the fun is there. It might be dangerous. You're going over, you know, that fear factor. But again, you're usually with an experienced person. Let's talk about testing, the testing equipment and stuff like that. Yeah, usually on these ghost hunts, they have EMF meters, which measures the electromagnetic field. And then they have something, and I don't know, I can't remember what the second letter is, something called a K meter. And this is like an EF meter, but it's got light, so it's more visually seeable. Then they talk about, if you watch most hunters and stuff like that, these infrared cameras, full spectrum cameras, digital voice recorders. The digital voice recorders, for some reason, can capture what they call EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. In other words, you're talking, you ask a question, you pause, you ask another question. Now, you don't hear anything, but when they play back the recording, sometimes there's a voice there, or a noise there, or something. And there's other equipment as well. They can get laser thermometer, laser grid, that puts like dots so you can actually see movement and stuff. For the average person, most of this equipment is way overpriced. I think the cheapest one would be a digital recorder, 20-30 quid. I know I once were looking at a full spectrum camera which takes pictures in normal light, infrared, ultraviolet, blah 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 blah. I mean, they're talking about £800-900. That's when I was looking at them, about a year and a half ago. For somebody that goes on a ghost hunt probably 2 or 3 times a decade, let's be honest, you're not going to afford out that sort of money. But with these groups, sometimes they do have professional paranormal society there as well, who are doing the investigation with you, go with you to these places, and are using this equipment. So it's quite interesting to see that. Let's talk about the specialised stuff. First off, seances. Seances. People imagine a seance, sat at a table, hands on the table, is anybody there? Stuff like that. That's the classic seance. But even on your own, you can do a seance. You know, even asking the question, is anybody there? It could be classed as a seance. Not the classic seance that's all around the table, but that's it. Basically, you're inviting a spirit in to respond to you. I've used the right terminology, spirit. So you do that. In the end, that is the basics of anything. Because let's be honest, if you went in and didn't ask the questions and invite the spirits to come and communicate, it'd be a long night because you get nothing. Then I'm going to go up the danger level. Then there's questions that you ask like, well, if anybody's here, one of the questions asks, can you throw a pebble? Can you throw something? I have to think about that. Well, I mean, we've talked about danger and stuff like that, throwing a pebble. I've been on ghost hunts. I've never seen anybody hit by any object. I will tell you that now. I've never seen anybody hit by a pebble, a marble, a coin. And sometimes they throw a marble down or anything like that. But actually throwing, if somebody threw something back to you, it could hit you in the arm. In which case, if it's a pebble, it's not going to hurt. Hit somebody in the eye, it could cause damage. Hit somebody in the head, it could cut them, stuff like that. So we're beginning to build up the danger level. Then you have what's called table tipping. This is usually a pedestal. The ones I've seen is a pedestal table, but instead of a round base, they've got substantial feet on them. So you've got the pedestal down with substantial feet on them. And the idea is you put your hands on them. If there's any spirits here, please move this table. Lift it up. Use your energy. Blah, 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 blah. And the idea is, if there's a spirit there with enough energy, it will move the table. Lift it up. Move it sideways, whatever. Just think of that. If it moves it up, decides to move it that way, with enough energy, it's going to hit you in the face. Also, if a spirit's got that enough power, what's to stop it, instead of moving the table, if you're sat on a chair, moving the chair from underneath you. So like I says, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. Right, let's go on to the last one. And I'll tell you now, I will not touch it with a barge pole. Spirit board. Modern terminology, spirit board. In the old terminology, a Ouija board. We've all seen Ouija boards in horror films, Most Haunted and stuff like that. I would never ever touch one. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to be associated with them. I think they are dangerous. The basic idea with a Ouija board is you are inviting spirits and whatever from the other side to make contact with you. And in the end, you don't know what's going to come through that Ouija board to make contact. It could be a friendly spirit saying, yeah, I lived here, I was happy here, I loved the place, and that's why I want to stay. Could be angry spirit telling you to basically off, or it could be something worse if you believe in demons, stuff like that. I would say 99.999% of the population don't know how to use them properly. I would say 99.999% of the population use them for laughs without knowing what mental, physical damage they can do. I would say there's only 0.001 of the population that know how to use them properly and know how to control them and know what's going to come through of them. I would say leave that 0.001 population to use them. Rest of you, don't touch them. They are dangerous. They are dangerous. No doubt. I would not have one in the house. There's only one ghost hunt I've been on. The medium used, and he said he was trained to use. And even though he was quite confident, I'll be honest, I did not want to be in that room when he was using it. There was about 4 of them using it with their hands on the planchette, moving around. They made contact. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't want to be in that room. I didn't like it. I thought it was wrong. Anybody that comes to your house and say, oh, I brought a new game and it's got a Ouija board. My idea is you kick them out and you don't be friends with them anymore. Because they are dangerous. They are dangerous. Psychologically, they are dangerous. If it's nothing more than imagination, they are psychologically dangerous. So this is an update to that Halloween video suggestion. Like I says, I do these videos for fun. And sometimes I don't want to make this sound insulting, but sometimes I do dumb down some of the information. It's like when I do the winemaking videos, I don't get a chart out and saying, right, sugar, draw sugar molecules, draw water molecules, and the interaction will produce this alcohol molecule. But I just say, there's water, there's sugar, there's the yeast, it produces alcohol plus CO2. These are not technical videos. These are fun videos. I do this as fun. I do this as a hobby. If this doesn't get isn't fun anymore, I will stop doing them dead. I do subjects such as religion, I do subjects such as holidays, I do subjects such as cooking, winemaking, beer making, just general knowledge. Basically speaking a lot of rubbish sometimes. And it was just an enjoyment thing. I thought, with it being Halloween, the night of when most people associate with the dead and stuff like that, I'll make a fun video. Well, like I says, this woman on this page, thought it was critical that I point out some of these things. So I thought, well, I'll respond to her video and I will make it quite a thing. And I will point out that, yeah, the paranormal can be dangerous. I have been on, that says 5 ghost hunts, and I've seen nobody suffer mental breakdowns. I've seen nobody suffer spiritual breakdowns. Being hurt, I think I've seen one person scratched. And that's it. If you're with a good medium, with a good group and stuff like that, you could be totally safe. If you were with a bunch of arseholes, then yeah, you could be running into trouble. It can be dangerous. I think the most I can say is it's something that's got to be experienced. As long as you have confidence in yourself and confidence in whatever faith you have, be agnostic, even if it's confidence in yourself, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It does question your beliefs. if something happens and it does question your status, if you like. I've seen blokes, rugby type blokes, going, oh, nation's not going to fight me, who've walked out basically quivering rags. I've seen the weakest, weediest nerd go in, and he's walked out as steady as a rock. It hasn't fazed him at all. The thing is, I would say, is if you're going to go on one of these things, go with an organised group. Just don't go on your own. And don't go with a bunch of friends who have been out drinking that afternoon. You do have to keep mentally aware. Alcohol and this sort of thing doesn't mix. So I hope I've assuaged some of her. She did actually say if I weren't willing to accept some criticism, which I'm willing. I'm always willing to accept criticism. But I think what she was trying to point out, I think for the majority of my video, for my viewers, is not relevant. But I said I would address it, and I've addressed it. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I've talked about the dangers. I talked about the dangers in the original one. Probably I didn't enforce the dangers enough, and probably that's what she didn't particularly like. The Stonewall theory, like I said when we were talking about the recordings, is a theory. When I talk about the moving of the bricks to a new building and possible hauntings moving, is a theory. When I talk about my faith, I talk about my faith. Because it is my faith, and if she and other people don't believe in my faith, that's fine. That's up to them. But I think I'm going to leave it there. I think I've made my points. It can be fun nights, but also it can be disturbing nights if you go on one of these things. So I'm going to leave it there. I'll upload it, see what people say. Okie doke.